It's good, Facebook. Who y'all know doing a fish fry at 12 something in the morning? You feel me?
You said morning, I say it's at night.
Well, yeah, I call it 12 at night too, but you know, people want to be politically correct. They want to say, oh, it's the morning time. But just like they say it's the morning, as I'm reading this book, The Magical Books of Solomon, it tells you that morning and night, midnight to midnight, sunset to sunset, and how the hours really work. So a lot of people, they got them backwards anyway. Let's get this bad boy out of here. Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. Nice and crispy. One day people gonna put some respect on my name. I can do it all. I'm a jack of all trades. Anything I touch, I perfect.
A master of none.
That's a master of haters.
That's the saying. A jack of all trades, a master of none.
Well, what's that supposed to mean?
You can do anything.
Master of none, but that ain't nothing. A jack of all trades.
And a master of none. A jack of all trades. That means I can do anything. A jack of all trades, a master of none.
All right, well, I guess I'm a master of none then.
I can do anything.
Master of none. Anything I put my mind to, I can do it. Anything I believe in, I can achieve it. Salah so big. I was up to 6 in the morning studying this book right here. I already skimmed through it and went through chapter by chapter in the past, but I said I'm gonna start from square one. I'm gonna read it from front to back because I normally don't read books from front to back. Front to back, I read them from back to front. Or I read them chapter by chapter just to find information that correlates with other information that I'm already dibbling and dabbling with. But last night I had an experience. When I tell you these pages lit up with orbs, because I'm sitting in the dark, I had 2 candles lit. These pages lit up with orbs, literally. But that wasn't the first time I seen that when I was reading this book. I'd seen it light up with orbs before in light. But last night, after reading this, I just started reading the beginning. But I said I'm going to read it from front to back, read little paragraphs and information, a couple pages at a time. And then I'm going to sit and reflect and meditate on it and rehearse it over and over in my brain until I memorize. That's how I memorize everything. You know, like when I taught myself how to speak Hebrew and all the characters, you know, it started with just exercise routines, and in between reps, I would repeat the same, you know, characters over and over and over in my head. Just like when I learned qadesh prayer, I would read 3 words at a time because that's the 42 letter name of the 72 names of God that create the qadesh prayer, which correlates with redemption redemption and protection and freeing the chosen people of God and smiting their enemies. So once you say that prayer, that unlocks a whole nother field of terror and speeds the process up in this great awakening process. That doesn't just direct one arrow at one individual. It points the arrow at a collective whole, a collective consciousness of entities that are all vibrating on the same frequency, which I call the low vibrational frequency. So, yeah. All you awakened ones, or Yasharala, and nine ethers, Moors, indigenous, whatever you want to call yourself, because you've been called many names, just like the Bible told you. You will be called bywords, proverbs, and you'll be astonishment amongst all nations. You'll be called everything under the sun than what you actually really are. But you are the all. Just like God is the all, Al-Qur'an the all, the progenitor of all things, the omnipotent, the inevitable, And when I say that omnipotent, inevitable, I'm talking about exactly what it say right here. Now look at this. Look at this. Now, I was reading this, right? Key words start sticking out to me when I'm reading it. See, it says, I called upon the most holy name of God, which is Ayah. Most people think it's Yah, but it's not Yah, it's Ayah. And then it says, prayed for the inevitable wisdom, and when I was beginning to close my eyes, the angels of the Lord, even Homedidal. You know what's crazy? Homedidal is actually my guardian angel. Of all things. I had to look it up because I know him as Mididal. But when you look up Homedidal, just like on the show Lucifer, they talk about Mididal. But Mididal is the 36. He's 36 on the angelic chart. And he deals with the last 3 days of like the Virgo season, because for each days in a constellation month of a zodiac astrological influence, there's a different angel. So everybody with the same zodiac don't have the same guardian angel, But Mididal so happened to be my angel. That's one thing that stood out to me, because these are the couple pages I read last night. And then I read right here. It says, I beseech thee, O holy, omnipotent, and inevitable Father. So these are the things I was replaying last night as I was meditating, right? And all the way over here to, it says, O my son Rehoboam, which is the son of Solomon, seeing that all the sciences there is none more useful than the knowledge of celestial movements. Let's read that again. O my son Rehoboam, seeing that of all sciences there is none more useful than the knowledge of celestial movements. This gets deep. I'm telling you, I can break some things down to y'all, but a lot of people don't want to listen to me. They don't want to listen to me. I started off with a fish fry, for Facebook, but as things come up, while I'm cooking, I was over here studying. I was studying upstairs at first, but I've kind of figured out how to decode the angelic hour. This is the table of planetary hours. This is the table of magical names and hours of the angels that rule them. And this one is the archangels that rule the hours of the days of the week. Oh, it gets deep. Just those 2 pages alone, I was on these 2 pages just for like almost over an hour. And I done read this page multiple times in the past, but I didn't comprehend it. It wasn't the information that I was looking for, but I did highlight key things that stood out. So when I'm hunting for something, I'm looking for anything that correlates, anything that corresponds, like the law of correspondence of 7 Hermetic principles. I find things that correspond, because that's how you find all truth. You find truth by way of consistencies and patterns. Like I always say, people will lie to you, but consistencies and patterns won't. So, like the Bible is a book. It originated called Helios, Biblios. Helios meaning right, light way. Biblios is book, which is the European word for book. You know, Biblios is basically, I believe that's Latin, but you know, the Bible, where you get the English word the Bible from, is the European word that just means the book. But as I'm going through these things, it's the Bible, like I was saying, it was never meant to be taken literal, you know, literal. It's written in metaphors, allegories, parables, and figurative language, meaning that it's a book of codes. It's text that came from other books, like the Emerald Tablets, the Holy Tablets, you know, and, you know, what else, what's the other one? Emerald Tablets, Holy Tablets. Some people call them the Anunnaki Tablets. But if you go through all of them and you look for consistency and pattern, you are going to find you're going to find the same flood story. You're going to find the same stories about giants. And that's why I told people, that's why Abraham is the father of many nations. Because if you read in your Bible, if you really pay close attention and you know about the other knowledge, you'll know that Abraham came from the city of Ur in Chaldean. So if he came from the city of Ur and the Chaldeans, once you look up where that is, it comes from Samaria. But in there it's going to say Sumer. Sumer was the original name for Babylon. Babylon, Sumer, Samaria, this is where the Anunnaki, the nine ether ones came from. That's why when you get this, like this tattoo, it says Anu Elionel. Because before Yahweh came into play, or Yahuwah, Yahweh, Yahweh, what you want to call it, because you can't say he, because each symbol represents divine masculine and divine feminine. First Yah signifies the Father who art in heaven. Hey, the mother, you know, that's in the earth, the womb of the earth where mankind was created and dwells. Then Ba deals with us, the creation. Let us create them in our image. That's why they should have never replaced Elohim with God, because Elohim is plural, it's more than one, and it refers to what we're actually dealing with here. God's with an S, and it's telling you about the two. Just like it's saying when man and woman come together to create a soulmate, you know, soulmate is one. So, like what they would call the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, that's not the case. That's something that religion made up, but it's kind of similar to that, how it works. It's the Father, the Mother, and their creation. That's what it really is. That's the real Trinity. The Father, the Mother, and their creation. Because, or you could signify the Son as mankind. Put it that way. Because Jesus never told you he was God. He just said, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. So he basically said God is eternal. That's why he told people, everybody searching for the kingdom outside themselves, but it's within. It's within. It's eternal. You know, just like everything that is above, it is below. Just like you got a physical body below and a spirit in this body, you also have an astral body above. Just like you see as physical planets above, you also have chakras within the body that all align and correlate. You know, just like they tell you this metaphor about Jacob's ladder, it's actually an etheric invisible cord that's attached to each one's spine and each one roaming the earth. You know, you got to look at the earth like a motherboard that you put into an electronical device. You see it's green, you got all your little pieces that look like city pieces, but guess what current is going through our motherboard on earth? You know, we got streets, highways. Look at the earth from a plane, it's going to look like a motherboard. But we are the energetic frequencies that are moving through these currents, these energy fields that are moving through the motherboard of Earth. That's why it's called a motherboard. This is why it's called Mother Earth. You know, because man can't create anything that is not already within himself, you know. So when I say man, I'm talking about mankind, male and female. That's one of the 7 Hermetic principles as well, the law of gender, you know. And that's where I'm getting at. All these things correlate, correspond, they all go together. So while most people are stuck in the Quran and the Bible and other stuff, people don't know that the Quran is just the Old Testament of the Bible. You know, that's why you'll see the same characters, same names. But there's so much more to it. That's when you get into apocryphal text. Apocrypha is just the Greek word for hidden. It is hidden. You know, get what I'm saying? Get my drift? It is hidden. You know, so it's a lot of things that have been hidden. Dead Sea Scrolls was hidden. There's so much things that's been hidden, you know, that's already out there. Just like this information, it tells you it was originally designed to be hidden, and it was never supposed to fall into people with malicious intent's hand. It was buried in an ivory coffin and dug up. And people that were trying to decipher the text, they couldn't, because they were rendered useless and unworthy until this one figure came along called, what is his name? I'm trying to memorize it without looking in there. It's called, now I gotta look. It's Ayad DL or something. Ayad Do. Hold on. Ayad. You know, Ayad. I know his name. I know his name. Yeah. Oh, it's right here. Ayad Hey Grievous. So that was the one that was rendered worthy, and the same angel of the Lord came to him, and he was able, when he went to go look at the text again, it unraveled itself, and then he was able to decipher what the text means. You know, the same thing with magic. Everybody can't tap into magic, magneticism, metaphysics, because certain people, they don't have the right ideology and intent. That's why the elect ones, they're coming together on a collective consciousness, because they're all vibrating at the same frequency. So now they can use telepathy. Their telepathy is they are all vibrating on the same frequency. So you're going to hear them all confirming each other's statements, and they don't even know each other. You see how that works? People that vibe on the same frequency, they can read each other's brains. They can feel each other's energy. They can transfer information to one another without even speaking. And you're going to hear them all say the same things in different ways, in different parts of the world, because they're all scattered abroad. 4 corners of the earth, 4 corners of America. They are everywhere, you know. But they're all going to be talking about, if you notice, all the people that are awoke and vibing on that high frequency, you know, that Pacific Hertz frequency right now, they are all saying the same thing that I've been saying. You know, and I'm just so happy because it's confirmation to me as well that they're confirming what I'm saying. I'm confirming what they're saying. We're not saying it word for word verbatim, but that's how it works. The consistency is a pattern. So, and as all we're vibing, we're going to be rendered worthy. That's why God said, you know how people be like, oh, you can't judge me, you're not God. But if God is in us and he picks his chosen people, it tell you in the book of Revelation, he said, I'm going to use my elect ones to judge the nations. You can't judge me. You're not God. No, I'm going to use my elect ones to judge the nations. Go read it again. Go read it like 5-7 times. But the ideology and perception that y'all wanted to believe to fit y'all narrative. You know, these churches is giving y'all damn water Kool-Aid. I'm giving you fermented wine. It's a big difference. Big difference. Watered down Kool-Aid to the likening of the masses and the people to make them feel good. It's nice and sweet. Make them feel good. That's that good old Kool-Aid. I'm giving you that bitter, fermented wine. It don't taste good, but when it hit hard. Everybody ain't ready for that. They get drunken. But the Bible say don't get drunken. You know, they get too drunken. You know, if you can't hold that energy or juggle that frequency, don't indulge in it. That's why a lot of people, they don't get it. But I keep putting it out there because guess what? Everything I'm saying is going to get confirmed. And everybody that heard it, it's going to come back to me even if they forgot it. And it's already happening to some people as we speak right now. But I'm just going to put that out there. God bless y'all. I'm out. Good night. And remember, the most powerful name of God, it's not Yah, it is Ayah, the most holy. I called upon the most holy name of God, and that's Ayah. That's why you think I named my daughter Blue and Ayah. You see, in my eye right here is blue eye pigmentation. That's why she's the blue and eye. Words have power and meaning. We here. The light is in full effect. Don't forget. Guess what? And I'm gonna tell y'all another secret. When y'all start seeing these planes falling out the sky and all these things happening around the world at once, guess what? Just look at the message that's going out and all the people that's vibrating on the same frequency, and how as they're awoke and they're all confirming each other's statements and not knowing each other, that's when two witnesses. That's when it tell you about the two, after it talks about the two witnesses and the people lying dead in the market street for 3 days that rose to their astonishment, it told you they was able to control the weather. People hated them. They hated them. You know why? Because they tapped into the frequency and the mother protected them. Just like it said in Revelation 12, when the beast pursued the children in the wilderness, but the earth opened up and swallowed them and ate them, protected them. Ding, 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 ding. But who am I? You know, I just be talking to be talking. Everything I do has purpose. Just like, you see, I got this violet silk wave cap on my head. You know, silk, not cotton. Guess what the highest chakra is? Violet. Head. Crown. Deuces.